like this wonderful gentleman here, then you're a non-commissioned officer. If you have dark blue trousers, then you're a regular. So you are actually, or were, a professional soldier beforehand. Now the Union is moving in skirmish order. Skirmish order was developed late in the war, and as I said, this is at the late end of the war. We're in 1864. These guys are the 111th Pennsylvania. You can see that by the white star on their hat. You could get into a lot of trouble not having your unit designation marked. You'd get arrested, probably expired. By this stage in the war, we are largely fighting in this formation in skirmish order. We're using the terrain. At the beginning of the war, they were fighting like a Napoleonic war, all block fighting, like our block of infantry reserve there, or the Confederates. By this stage in the war, they've realised that this is the biggest problem of this was two developments that were made. Now, before I tell you about these developments, I'll tell you a little bit about some of the guns. The most common gun of the war, the Americans like to tell you, are the Springfield. 1.4 million Springfields, they'll tell you. So there's two models, the 1861 and the 1863, 700 apiece. At 800,000, the British-made Pattern 58 Enfield is by far the most numerous single-model gun of the war. Now the American guns are .58 caliber, the British guns are .577, but actually they all fire the same ammunition. Both sides use these guns, so both sides use exactly the same. The Enfield started selling, and the Confederates started buying them and smuggling them in. The Union spotted this, so the Union just started buying them and stopped them getting them. The British loved this. This meant that the British got to sell loads and loads of guns to foreign powers, i.e. these guys. You can see also in this skirmish line the fact that the guy, when this skirmish line moves, somebody fires before somebody moves. So somebody's always covered. And they communicate and they load. This is the beginning of modern infantry tactics here. Also, you'll notice that the troops wear a very simple version of what we now consider modern combat weapons. They have a cap pouch for the percussion cap. They have an ammunition pouch, which he's just getting his ammunition out of now at the back, which self-closes on the way, by the way. Do come out of the camp to see this afterwards. The weapons are loaded down the barrel. They're still muzzle loaded. So they're loaded down the barrel, and then they're put across the body, and a percussion cap is put on the end. Now, let me tell you a little bit about this percussion cap thing, because many people say, I've never seen a percussion cap gun. Where do they come from? I don't remember seeing them. I see flintlocks. These are not flintlocks, these are percussion caps. What happened is, a percussion cap is a small brass cap that goes on a nipple at the rear of the gun and sends a shallow spark construct into the gun. Now, the reason you don't hear about this for very long is because it appears in about 1840. By 1870, somebody's figured, hang on, if you've got a cartridge gun and a percussion cap, why don't you just put the percussion cap on the back end of the cartridge and the modern round is born. So this system is very, very, very short in use. Talking about breech-loading guns, by the way, the Union have breech-loading guns. There's one here, it's a Sharp's rifle. See, as I said, the Union begins to get innovation. This weapon is loaded by the breech, so you can simply stuff a new round, although the Sharp's rifle still has to have the percussion cap put on the nipple. It means that it's a lot quicker to reload than your main rifle, your Springfields in your Enfield. But here's the kicker. So now you're expecting me to tell you that these are small bottle skids fire 50 yards and 3 rounds a minute, just like they did in Napoleonic rounds. Yes, and they're not. I'm going to tell you something else here. We have shortened the battlefield. The distance at which they're fighting is shorter than the real distance. Now, we're not trying to kid you here. If we did it at full range, you'd not be able to see all the players. We've shortened it. I'll explain why. These are rifles. They're all rifles. Every last gun present is a rifle. So how did, bearing in mind that you see Sharp, you know that they had Baker rifles. The Baker rifle takes minutes to load, it's very tight. Smoothbore can be reloaded 3 times a minute. Well, here's the trick. The benchmark prevents the bullet that's too small. The bullet's called a mid-A ball. It goes down the barrel and it's got skirts on the bottom. So when the charge explodes beneath it, it expands, grips the rifle and out it goes. So all of a sudden, you've got a lovely lethal rifle that can fire 3 times a minute like a smoothbore musket, but it's suddenly accurate because it's from the range. Now we've now got cannon in play, so we're going to get interesting here. The Union have got 2 cannons, and I believe the Confederates have got 1. I'll tell you a little bit more about those in a moment. Now how accurate were these guns? Well, people say an Enfield rifle can fire up to 500 metres. I'm going to say to them, well done, because it's very difficult to see a man at 500 metres, and the sight you'd be really lucky. So they put one on the bench, they loaded it with measured rounds, and then that is block firing, by the way. There you go, a volley, and they achieved it. 500 rounds is possible, but that's under very measured conditions. Under standard rifleman conditions, with a good round, with the right man behind that gun, who knows exactly what he's doing, 250 yards is achievable. But let's take the standard instruments. It is quite reasonable to say that you can hit somebody with an Enfield rifle at 150 yards consistently. I wouldn't really push it past that point. Same goes for the Springfield. There we go. Volley fired again. Just back to Napoleonic tactics. Volley fired. Back in the... Oh, now here's interesting. The Confederates are in skirmish drills. In pods of 4 that then spread out. It's all of the 4s come together. It's always 4s that they do this in. And then they operate in 2 groups of 2. That group of 4 is called a pod. Now the Confederates have a 6-pound hand cannon. The cannons of the American Civil War, they were smoothbore. Why were they smoothbore? Because they didn't need to be anything else. All American Civil War battles are fought at a range of about a mile. A smoothbore 6-pounder and a smoothbore 12-pounder can hit a barn at a mile. The weapon system does not need to be any better than that. It does the job. The Union have got Parrot, they've got a Parrot gun over there and a 6-pounder. Now the Parrot gun's rifled. The Parrot gun at a mile can hit the barn door. But the Parrot gun doesn't have the same ammunition options as our friends the smoothbore 6-pounder and 12-pounder do. You see, the smoothbore guns can either fire shot, like a solid shot that can just punch through something, or they can fire shells that explodes above its enemy because it's on a fuse, it's lit by... It scatters the canister down upon its enemies. Now an Englishman, who was a naval lieutenant, took out the gunpowder and replaced half of it with musket balls, made it twice as effective, and he embedded himself in the English language because his name is Harvey Shrapnel. Now as our Union go forward, they're going to fire again by volley. The aim of volleys back in Napoleonic time was very simple. If you could get yourself organised, get yourself marched up to the enemy, give him a right good volley before he could do anything, you could hopefully break the ball into range to the point that his return fire was less than effective. Of course, in the American Civil War, as they began to use more and more cover, you end up with a problem. Because if you march up to somebody with the aim of firing a volley, you stop to fire your volley, he ducks behind the wall and waits for it. Everybody fires their volley, everybody's unloaded, then he jumps up and shoots at the unloaded. By the way, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, can we have a round of applause? These are really good volleys here, amazing volleys. These are actually spot on volleys. And I'm going to think the Confederates are doing some volleys now. That's Condell, that was a good one as well. So there is one last type of ammunition for our cannon we haven't mentioned, and that of course was canister. So we've got our exploding shells, which you want to go above your enemies. You've seen a couple of them go off on the battlefield. And the Union artillery is now moving forward. We're moving that parrot gun forward. We're advancing nice and steadily. So the last type of ammunition is something called canister. And this is why gun crews don't wear handguns or carry swords, they just get in the way. Because the last type of ammunition is a skin full of musket balls. It goes down the barrel, and boom. That's one big shotgun. Boom. Far more effective than carrying a pistol. Now I mentioned earlier these rather horrendous guns they're using, these 58 caliber weapons. There's a couple of things that are notable here. These are 58 caliber firing a soft lead slug. It is subsonic, it travels slower than sound. It's terrible things to make it with bullets. It's not like a modern jacketed round. When it enters the arm or the leg of somebody, it's squashes. By the time it hits the bone, it disintegrates. So you end up with a nice neat hole going to the bone, and then it just explodes out the back. If you get hit in the chest or in the head, they know you're dead. You're already in a bad way. But they did learn very quickly during this war about a couple of things. They learned how to do amputations very quickly, and they learned about infection control. Why you see so many amputations? They can't save the leg, but they can cut it off above, tie off all of the arteries, and simply save you. You'll end up without an arm or a leg, but you have a 40% chance of surviving. You are allowed to cheer, by the way, for either side, so if you want to cheer for the Confederacy, let's hear it! If you want to cheer for the Union, let's hear it! What's the program today? There also open the doors back. Bugles on the Union side, and we have drums. Drums and bugles were used for communication throughout the war. This war was planning to affect many things. By the beginning of this war, we start off what we thought was going to be another Napoleonic war. By the end of this war, we end up with by the end of this war, the following things will have happened. Landmines will have been invented. A ship will have been sunk by a submarine. I'll just let that one sink in. We will have breech-loading weapons. We will have the Gatling gun. We will have ironclads. We will have troops moved by train first in this war. We will have communication by telegraph. Now I mentioned the failure of fire and volleys. The problem with volleys is they know you're coming. So, what they did is they invented something called firing by file, which is what they've done. Now firing by file, they did it very quick here. Firing by file means you start at one end, and everybody fires, and then you work your way across, and everybody just keeps loading and firing. What it does is it spreads out your fire across your regiment, which means that with a big fire, the cavalry here, these have got it come on. What we've got going on now is just constant fire, so they never know what fire. So they get fire by fire. It's basically a really cool, easy, first-time suppression tactic. The other thing about firing by fire is once it's cooled, you just keep firing. It's not like a volley fire where you fire and you're done. Fire by fire, they call it and they just keep firing until they're told stop firing, which is what it is. Now, you see, that's what happens when shelling goes above the Union line. So our Confederate cannon crew got that right. Don't forget, as I mentioned earlier, we have shortened the ranges. These ranges would be longer, but if we actually did it at the full distance, you guys wouldn't get to see everything, and that wouldn't be cool. ammunition is a dead Union soldier. Don't forget, all the weapons are the same. The ammunition's going to work for you. So, if they can capture a battlefield, all the leftover ammunition is going to be there. And actually, by the end of the war, this became imperative for the Confederacy, because actually it became the only source. By 1864, Sherman would march through Georgia. He would gut the Confederate economy. The Mississippi was lost, and the trade routes that they had were gone. Confederate forces in the field just had nothing. They were fighting on basically empty. The tank was empty. Confederate money had been printed so frequently that hyperinflation had blown it away that the paper was worth more than the actual money was. The only way that they could use money, the only money they could use, was in fact Union money. They'd been in the same uniforms for 5 years, and yet somehow these guys who had nothing, right from the beginning they were a bunch of militia. They had no massive industry. They had no continual supply. Somehow they had managed to fight the war to keep an idea alive for 5 years. That's incredible, really. Absolutely incredible. Now I would have gone over to the artillery a little bit, but I have been asked by the sound guys to be a little bit cautious with this, because it's a type of microphone called a condenser, and they are very sensitive. By the way, can we have a round of applause? I think the sound system today is absolutely amazing. So, round of applause for our sound guys. A really, really good sound today. So I think we'll look after it here, yeah? Now, as we can see, the Confederacy on this occasion are running out of men very, very quickly. And they are, of course, on their way to losing this battle, not because of any great tactics, because the Union has just walked on them, basically. There's just too many Unions, too many units. And this is the story of the war, largely towards the end. And as we come up towards the front line, just wonder what's going on. Here we go. I'll come out the way of our Union marching forward here. As they go forward, we're now in the place where they're just going to actually put down. Again, they're doing the old-fashioned way, which is actually not a great way of doing it, but they've got the manpower to do it. The Union, 21 million people. There was a joke about New York which said, isn't it funny that none of the boat teams ever got called up? They never called everybody up, never even needed to. The manpower disparity was just so massive. Now, it does look to me like that Confederate cannon there is loaded, and they're loading, if this range gets any shorter, with something called canister. So we might actually get to see what canister does, if they can get it on aim. Lovely crisp volley. Can we round of applause some of these volleys? Aren't they fantastic? Bear in mind that these people are volunteers, and they get to do this perhaps 4 or 5 times a year. They have a training event like we do. By the way, I'm from the American Civil War Society, and these guys are all SOSCAN, and they've kindly invited us. So thank you very much, SOSCAN, for inviting us. Thanks for Detling for having us all, because it's been an amazing event so far. Now you notice that they are taking the colours away. They don't want to lose the colours. Now the Union are going to push this because they want to take this area. So the Union are going to push this all the way forward. I was working with the Army cadets, by the way, because one of them here is asleep. You know he's a proper Army cadet when he can sleep for a battle. Good skill, boyo. And now they're going to go all the way forward in the Union. The Union are actually just going to overrun the position by sheer force of numbers. Some of the Union, some of the Confederates have started retreating. They've left the gun, which is going to be a big loss. Because, of course, I did mention that the Union can make lots of things. The Union made lots and lots and lots and lots of cannons. The Confederacy couldn't make cannons. And the one place it could make cannons, it made lots of them and couldn't transport them. And they were all sat there when Sherman arrived. In fact, Sherman wrote a letter to Lincoln saying, "Dear Mr. Lincoln, I give you 300 Confederate cannons." And they were all there, stacked up on the dock, nowhere to go. Now we reach the end of this conflict, and you'll see that the Confederates are being taken prisoners. Now, prisoners became an issue, because neither side was quite kind of ready for it. And there's another issue. Men dead. That's more Americans killed than in every war following up to Vietnam. They were all from villages. Regiments were raised from villages, which meant that if a regiment was lost, that village lost all of its own men. It would have a profound effect on American history, on American lives, and on various towns. Deer Island, Maine was a fishing town before the war. After the war, it had 2 young men come home out of all the young men, and it became a holiday home. So American life was forever changed. Essentially, it means that if you knew 50 people at the beginning of the American Civil War, one of them was dead. Now that might not sound that much. Think of all the people you know. Suddenly you realise that's an awful lot of people. Ladies and gentlemen, can we have a round of applause for the American Civil War, brought to you by Softcan?